What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
Coming at you with Motivation Monday, here to get you fired up. We got our coffee. We're ready to go. I got a Timmy's. We're back in Canada today, which is pretty exciting. Definitely a little bit cold, but definitely feeling motivated. Had a great workout, and we're really excited to jump into your amazing questions, as well as just kind of go through what we're thinking, talk a little bit about our travels, as well as some other amazing things like our clients who are crushing it. So let's jump right into this episode with our primary question. And the primary question for this week is, hi guys, I'm really struggling with my upper thighs. I train them basically every day and I'm building muscle. The fat in the inner thighs is so stubborn. Any tips on lifestyle changes or exercises? And I really like this question because we haven't spoken too much about like specific body point training. And in general, it's very hard to isolate one body point for a position of change. So like spot reduction, like if you're like, I only want to lose fat on my stomach, it's not really how the body works. It'll lose fat at the amounts it wants to and when it wants to. And there is some science saying that like training a specific area could help with some spot reduction, but at a tiny, barely noticeable threshold. So what I'm getting at is if you have a high body fat and you just do crunches and you just lose weight and you're targeting that area and you're putting heat packs on it, you're not going to get shredded abs. That's not going to happen. So if you want to see macro changes, even if it's just in a small area, you need to do those macro things. You need to be in a deficit and you need to start taking off fat. I mentioned before, different body types, everyone's different. Kyle will store more fat in his stomach, unfortunately, which isn't ideal for abs because he needs to get quite lean to get abs. But at the same time, his upper body is very lean. He'll have vascular shoulders very fast, whereas I store a lot more fat in my upper body, not as much in my abs, which I'm thankful for, and then obviously a lot in my legs. So case in point, I might see abs sooner than Kyle will at a high body fat, but it will take me longer to get vascular shoulders. I will need to get quite lean. And this is just how we are. We're all entirely different. Our body loses fat how it wants to lose it. And like I said, everyone is so specific. When you know your body, you kind of know, like Kyle knows this about his physique. In fact, I know it. I'm sharing it here. I know how my physique works for the most part. And in general, the only way you can change this is if you're really out of shape and if you have a bad history of being out of shape. Ideally, healthy fat, you want to be storing it in your legs, your buttocks, all those areas really are where you want to have it. So if you have fatter thighs, that is a more natural thing, if you will. And to get very lean legs, obviously you need to lose weight. And legs and thighs are interesting because people really want to have big built glutes, obviously with some fat there as well, so they look shaped, but you can still see the shape of the muscle. But people often will want to have leaner legs or not have too much unwanted fat or to remove cellulite. And this is where it can get very nuanced in this question. And I love this comment about the upper thighs in particular, because I know there's huge hype on like thigh gaps and things like that. And obviously there's a lot of focus to like thigh shaping movements, what you need to do to get a thigh gap. And this has been a little less prevalent. And I think that's why we haven't spoken to it. But with all that said, the main thing is it's usually the macro changes that will actually target this area the best. So actually just being in a deficit and having that patience, because that fat might peel off your upper body first or your face, and then it will maybe come to your legs later, or maybe you'll lose it at your legs later. But you just need to actually start that process of reducing weight. And if you have a really bad history and you have a ton of visceral fat because you eat a lot, you have a lot of stress, you're drinking, like obviously when you get that off, your fat storage may change as you put on more muscle. But the best thing you can do with these areas, it's not as much about losing fat as it is building muscle. So if you actually build really great, well-built legs and you really focus on adduction, abduction, building your glutes, that's how you can actually really change the shape of your glutes. And while you're losing fat in that process, that's where you can see more shape. And that's where you're probably going to get that look you're going for, and you're going to begin that process. And it's very hard to narrow in because I don't have any photos of this individual, but I want to let you through the thought process. So if someone reached out to me with this question, they want to be coached, let's say they're at 30% body fat, we'd work on pulling down body fat, kind of looking at how they want to develop their legs. And maybe they want to have a look where they want to have huge glutes. They just want to have very toned legs. And if that's the case, obviously we'd really prioritize heavy glute training. We might not be going absolutely berserk with the quads and hams. Obviously, if you're going to develop your glutes, you will develop your quads and hams. Whereas some other people just want to have crazy quads, or maybe they already have dominant quads. I have a client, Victoria, and her quads are insane. They've always been insane. So I program way less quads for her. We'll put her on the screen. Actually, you can see it on Spotify or YouTube now, which is really cool. But you can see her quads are super dominant. So for her, I actually don't give her much quad programming because they're already so dominant in this effect that we focus on hamstring, we focus on glutes to really build out a rounded leg. But perhaps you want to work towards a certain look. That's where you can begin to manipulate your body composition and in your training to create more of a look. But more often than not, you're going to really pronounce where you already are, and you can begin to adjust things as you go. But the best and easiest thing to do, with my long answer here, if you want to lose fat on the upper thighs, is just to lose fat and continue that process. But outside of that, obviously, would be being a little bit more tactical in how you train them. But you're not going to see crazy changes in shape if you don't lose any weight and you just start doing like weird exercises or anything on the ground. It's really important, if you want to lose fat, you need to lose fat. And then when you lose that fat, you can see more of that compositional change by strength training and actually changing your composition.
Yeah, that was so well said. And I'm glad Josh mentioned all that, because it really is relevant, even when you think of like how your bodies react to fat loss, step by step, right? And using the example of my, ab situation, it is interesting because even me, I know that when it comes to a certain point of like losing fat and I'm entering a deficit, it has to be, under 170 pounds I have to be in order to see like the love handle start to go away. Under 160 or around 160 is when like the abs really come in. And, I think some people struggle because they don't really know themselves as well. Because, maybe they've been on this journey of like maintaining for a while. Like for me, I know that I've done this so many times, a lot of cuts, a lot of shreds, a lot of bulks, a lot of maintaining. So it's pretty cool to be able to know, hey, if I need to get to this point, this is what it's going to take. And the main takeaway from that is that part that's probably causing you issues will be a little extra time. And I know this firsthand as I'm, kind of opening up about that. Might be an extra few weeks. It might even be an extra few months if like you're really, depends on how, I guess picky you are. It depends on how, intense you are with wanting to like really see it come together. But it's not an overnight thing. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle, and where I see people go wrong is trying to go in, like, for example, wanting to do like a million different abductors and adductors, and then they'll like buy a booty band and try to do a lot of band work and just think that that's all going to get better. But the truth is that with Josh's tip of just losing body fat in itself, being more patient and staying at it for a consistent amount of time, and then also just doing the big movements will make a big difference. Because like I said, the small little band work isn't going to make a big difference in your overall journey. Even if you're trying to grow your glutes, you're not going to get that from just doing, couple kickbacks and some band stuff. But anything like heavy squat related, a nice hinge, which would typically be, a stiff leg deadlift, and adding in some hip thrusts, some nice solid hypertrophy within your hamstring curls, like 12 to 15 reps with some step ups and quad extensions. Like doing the right movements over time is what's going to get you there, along with that deficit. Now, if you go in and you just start training hard and intense, that's awesome. But with your goal that you're striving for in this question, you have to get that nutrition down, which is actually going to make the biggest difference. So very well said. This obviously goes for anything, right? If I'm like, hey, I want to lose my upper body fat, and some people like their arms bother them, like the kind of the tricep fat, or like the fat around like the back, like around the bra line. A lot of these things, it's all going to apply. It's like you can't spot reduce, or like for most people you can't. It's not something I would pay attention to. It's do the right movements over time, enter that deficit, stay consistent, rinse and repeat. And it's easier than it sounds, but that's something we specialize in, and we've helped thousands of people with this specific scenario.
Yeah, and if you're very new to training, if you actually just build muscle, you will see a lot of change. But if you're a trained individual, like we said, it's really important you get in that deficit, you lose that fat. And one thing I'll also say too is you need to be very, especially in the leg area, you need to be very aware that a lot of looks are only achievable by certain mechanisms. Because right now there's a lot of people with fat transfers to their glutes, and there's a lot of Brazilian butt lifts. And those two in particular, I find they're really obvious to me as a trainer, because you see someone with very full glutes and maybe not a ton of muscle or whatnot, but you'll see that their legs are just super pencily. Like they don't have musculature. Calves will have no muscle, the quad, the ham, but then there'll just be these massive glutes. And it creates this certain look. And if you try to emulate that with training, it's just not going to work. Your body wants to be symmetrical to a degree. So even if you emphasize glutes like crazy, but didn't do any quad or ham, there'd be some overlap and you would see some development there. So it's really important too, like, and that's where I think you got to be mindful. If you're looking at these quote unquote influencers that have this look you want, a lot of them are unfortunately plasticky or fat transfers, because that one I find is a little more hidden. And it's not going to be as realistic with training. Instead, that's where you want to look at someone who actually knows what they're doing. And it's super obvious too, because you'll see these people, especially in Florida, we saw quite a lot of it. They're in there and they're doing 5-10 pounds, tiny squats, so weak, but they got these massive glutes that like would put me to shame. They look like they could load up 700 on the bar, right? So you do need to keep all this in mind. And I think that's where things get a little bit complex with all this different info, especially thigh gaps. You'll find a lot of people have these thigh gaps and that look if they're tall, skinny, lanky. Like just some women have that physique. Whereas if you're a shorter, stockier person, it's not going to be as realistic for you. Like it's going to not necessarily be the look you have. It's easier if you're like 6 foot tall as a woman and super slender and lean. Like it's natural you would have that. If you're 5 foot tall and you have like not a stockier look, that sounds bad, but you want to play into what your strengths are. I find a lot of people want what they don't have. That slender person will want to look more developed. With me being taller, if I want to look really thick and muscular, I'm just going to get destroyed by the manlets out there, which are the short dudes that are really jacked, because they just look super built because they got more of that squat physique and it's easier to. Whereas when you have a really long limb, it's harder to fill that out. But that's where I find one of the worst things you can do in just ending the segment is trying to look like someone else. Instead, try to look like the best version of yourself. Be honest with your strengths and your weaknesses. Work on your weaknesses, complement your strengths if necessary, maybe tone down on them so you can focus more on your weaknesses and improve your skill set. And you'll find you'll just be really proud of how you look, because a lot of this, you can't see these drastic changes without plastic or something, but you can really build a really healthy, amazing physique that I assure you people will want your physique to have a different physique. It's just the way it goes. So just something to consider as we end that. Anything else there?
No, it was very well said.
Okay, cool. Well, now we're going to jump into our quotes of the week, which is always super fun. And my quote is either you run the day or the day runs you. Classic quote, something I absolutely love. And I think today it's ultra on my mind because we just came back. We did a really long road trip, 20 plus hours, feeling super out of control, feeling out of schedule. Woke up today. I was really excited to get in my flow, get on my computer, all that stuff. And then of course, my wife's like, oh my gosh, someone used my credit card for like a ridiculous amount of money and they're stealing my identity. And it's crazy, like running around being at a whim of this and this like brutal thing that happened. But it's a good reminder, like when you feel out of control, it's a horrible feeling and these things will pop up. But in general, I love that I have my habits and my flows and I take charge of my day. Every morning I wake up, I tackle that hard thing, that frog, as I like to say, I eat the frog, which means I do one hard thing I don't want to do while I'm in my creative spot. I spend some time just working on myself, meditating, journaling, reflecting, being excited for the day, planning ahead. I get active. I spend time being active, either walking, working out, eat good food, and like you just feel so in control when you're the one driving instead of being in the backseat to your day and just waiting for what happens and being tossed around like you're in a crazy current of a river. So I think even for me, this just reminded me, and then the days this does happen, yeah, it sucks, yeah, it's not fun, but as a whole, at least you know you're in control. And it really reminded me that I like this structure. I like taking the day by the reins and really knowing like I'm in control of it. And I just thought it was a great quote to share today.
That was so well said. I think anytime anything happens, like Josh and I will sit there and we kind of have to bounce back and forth, and just like he had even said, he's like, what can I do? Like, what's in my control right now? And I was even trying to give some advice. I'm like, okay, they bought a $6,000 watch. I'm like, okay, call that place, get that canceled, let them know what happened. Like, let's get ahead of this stuff. So, yeah, it's stressful, it sucks, but I think anytime anything happens, like, it's funny because we were just talking and this was the exact location, not location, but the same city where my truck was stolen 2 years ago. And I'm like, man, oh man, like it makes me so mad even being an external person from it, but do what we can, right? Call around, make it all work out the best it can, and just handle it accordingly.
Yeah, and we'll help everyone by saying it's a good reminder, change your passwords. You don't want one universal password. I know this is an entirely random different thing, but if I could save someone else from this happening, if you've been using the same password forever, change it. Thankfully, me and Kyle are super on this, being in this world and having all these different things, obviously being an online business, but it's a good reminder to you in a total different side tangent. But even in these moments, me and Kyle, we've really worked to my point and my quote of taking more ownership. So perhaps something happens that's out of your control like this. ultimately, my wife could have not had one universal password. You could take it deeper and say, I should have encouraged her because I know this, and I should have said, let's not have one universal password. Now, obviously, it's not to make yourself feel horrible, but it makes you feel more in the driver's seat instead of feeling like a victim where people are just going to come around and pick on you. It's like, what can I at least do to put myself in the best situation? As soon as it happened, what can I do? Take action. There's a bunch of things that need to be done when this has taken place. Everything should be secure and locked up. But just that mindset in general, instead of putting everything else like, oh, they closed the gym 5 minutes early today. It's like, well, you pushed it and went to the gym 30 minutes before closing. Why did you do that? And I used to remember people doing that when I worked at the gym, but just taking that position of ownership. And me and Kyle have both been doing it. And it's ironic how I feel it's more freeing to me instead of just being, like I said, a victim at everything. Like maybe a crash happened, but I left still later than I should have for that to happen. So I could go on a million different examples with that, but I guess that'd be a thought. I'm jumping a little ahead, but something I wanted to share.
Yeah, I'm itching over here. As soon as I get home after this, I'm jumping on the laptop. I'm changing everything. But even on that note, I remember when we had that conversation with Max Tuning like a couple months, maybe a year ago, and one of his favorite quotes was just like, "It is what it is," and he said it in a funny voice. I was like, man, it's so true, because like I think sometimes even some people that will see like different things happen, and they're like, wait, this is how you're reacting to it. And you're just like, hey, well, I'm doing what I can. I'm at fault for this. And people are like, wait, what? Like, you're not going to get mad at the other person and blame this. And of course, yes, you are. But at the same time, it's like, what can I do here? Right. And yeah, I know a lot of people struggle with that, myself included, because I used to point like every finger around as I could. And I remember even hearing a quote. It's like, when you point one finger, there's four fingers pointed back at you. Anyways, very great quote, great thought there. I have a lot to say on that because I'm like, it's so frustrating. But my quote here, and I saw this from one of our clients, Ryan Sutton. He's down over 70 pounds. We shouted him out recently, but he shared it on his Instagram story. He's an elementary school friend who's just crushing it at our program. And the quote had said, soon you're going to look back on this period of life and be so glad that you never gave up. So this obviously applies to so many different things, but just referring to his fitness journey and just like all of your fitness journeys, I know there's going to be tough times. I know there's times where you may want to give up, may want to cancel your membership, may not want to continue with the coaching that you're doing or whatever the case is. But looking back on those tougher moments and the fact that you're consistently showing up, I promise you keep doing this. And even Ryan, as an example, he's going to be over 100 pounds down soon. He's going to look back. Obviously there's tough moments. There's, it's not easy to do that, right? There's times where you want to go out and eat more. And, of course we have it structured so you can still have a social life, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows where you just like lose 100 pounds and it's like it was a walk in the park, right? Although we try to make it as simple as possible. And so those moments where you want to give back, just think of your future, those moments where you want to give up, think back to your future self. Think of how great it's going to feel 6 months from now, 1 year from now, looking at all the weight you lost, all the muscle you gained, all the strength that you've gained. You'll be so proud of yourself. So I find oftentimes for motivation, when you look ahead at your future self, it can help in so many different ways. So that's my quote for today.
Yeah, and I guess for our thoughts, obviously, with a road trip, I think it's a good reminder how I was able to hit my macros, eat super healthy, navigate that road trip. And it's a good reminder. I always feel really happy I did, because there's temptations there. You stop at a gas station, you see all these fun things. Kyle really likes those hot dogs at gas stations. I have to keep them away. No, I hate some. He always says they look disgusting. So sorry if I'm offending anyone here, but there's a lot of things. There's like random cinnamon rolls. Like there's all these candies. There's pops. There's energy drink. Like it's tempting for sure. And you're bored. You're sitting in a car. You're staring at the road. It gets really old. But even just one thing I wanted to share is I've had a lot of success navigating road trips by packing protein snacks. I don't stop for breakfast. I'll just bring like a protein shake and some vegetables or fruit, and I'll just kind of eat that, and I feel pretty good. I'll stop for like a bigger lunch, like a Chipotle, then go for another high protein type dinner somewhere and just have those two bigger food stops. And I try not to think about food, because that habit you get of snacking the whole time, you're like pass the chips, pass the candy, you can easily do some damage. And you're not really moving during this time. So I'm sorry if it takes away the fun for some people, but I still had a lot of fun. I had some delicious Quest chips, and you can have like gum. There's like so many different things you can do to navigate it. And if you know there's no protein around, just pack protein snacks galore. And it really makes it quite easy. And I felt super motivated. I woke up, stomach felt great today. I was ready to go to the gym, feeling on track with my goals. The week's going fantastic so far. So that's something I wanted to share, because I know it's a really hard time for a lot of people, but it really doesn't need to be.
Yeah, and even for those of you who don't like road trip a ton and whatnot, road trips for me are similar to what Josh was just saying. Like, it's a really good time to reflect because even myself, like 20 plus hours in the car by myself, like Josh and I had a walkie-talkie, so we're going back and forth, but I spent a lot of time thinking, right? I listen to a lot of podcasts. I spent a lot of time thinking, observing, and I really realized like when it comes down to the journey, like why it can be so challenging. So similar to his point, like we hit our macros, we did so well, and I'm so happy to just say that because it would have felt horrible just having like long days and then just like going over my calories, not hitting my protein, feeling garbage, just grabbing random stuff. But like even the temptations, the three things I observed, first of all the signage, like every few seconds you'd see McDonald's here, you know, buy one, get one here. And it's like, just don't give in to that. I know it's challenging, especially when your willpower is down, but I noticed that a lot. Even like you just want a simple coffee and it's like, it's appealing to just grab like every morning that croissant, that donut, that Timbit, that whatever the case is. But it's like, you don't really need it. Like, it's just no way to start your day. So I noticed that a lot because like I said, I was bored. I was, you know, tired a little bit. Like we started early and I'm like looking, I'm like, like it's kind of appealing, right? And then the gas stations, like Josh said, there's just so much nonsense out there. And it's like, think of these three things. It's consistently could be your day. If you stop for coffee, you go to get gas, you go wherever, you even go to the grocery store, and like the goal of the grocery store is to try to get you like all this extra stuff that you don't actually need. And then obviously the signage for marketing. So the main message is like, try to stick to your diet. Obviously enjoy fun things if you want to, but at the same time, you have to just be that stronger person. And the more you give in, like if I started the day with that extra donut, then the next gas station we filled up at, I'd probably grab a slushie, and then like you don't need any of that. And I just had to keep reminding myself of it. I did have a lot of gum, like Josh said, so like hit the protein, but I remember just being bored. I'm like, no, I'll have a piece of gum, and it actually pushed my hunger, which was like really nice, even though I wasn't actually hungry. I was just bored. But yeah, that's my thought on there, and that's the only thing I have to say.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to some coffee as well, is always nice. But yeah, just something to consider. I find they're really easy days to actually hit your macros too, which is always nice. But now we're going to share a client shout out, someone who's been crushing it and made an amazing transformation. We also have this on the screen if you want to see the transformation now. So we're making some moves. So who do we got?
Yeah, so we have Savannah who just got bikini ready, and she lost 12 pounds, which is incredible, right? Based off of her body weight. I know something to consider as well is like some people are hard on themselves when they see how much others lose or when they compare. It's never a fun thing, but for her body weight to lose 12 pounds in 12 weeks is absolutely incredible. Like Josh said, you can see it on the screen. So, I mean, overall, her glutes are fuller. She has more defined abs, her shoulders, and even her posture's changed. And we always ask our clients like, hey, could you just send over a few tips so for the viewer, they can like apply it as well. And her first one, once again, we don't give them a script or tell them what to say, but she had said, hire a coach. The accountability of having a coach is super valuable. She said, get comfortable gym clothing that makes you feel confident. She said, stay on top of nutrition. She said, be patient and be consistent. And she even said 90 days isn't very long, but it's realistic to have some serious changes. And we're just so proud. Like I always say, you give yourself 90 days, you could be a completely different person. Like you could have abs. You could literally reverse a bunch of different negative health effects that you potentially have. Like it's an incredible amount of time to just get kickstarted and fully change your life. It's not going to be anything crazy where you lose 100 pounds. Like Ryan's been with us for, 5-6 months now that I was talking about before, but we're just really proud of this transformation. And as we're getting ready for our summer shred challenge, we are under a month away, which is super exciting. And if you are looking to get ready for summer, you want to feel your best, whatever trip you have planned, whatever cottage you have planned, maybe you have bachelorettes, bachelor parties, whatever the case is, you deserve to feel your best. You don't deserve to, go in and have to cover up with a sweater or to, maybe wear a t-shirt in the pool if you're just not feeling your best. Like you deserve to feel better than ever, and we want to help you get there. All you have to do is message us with the keyword summer challenge to our Instagram at ColossusFit, COLOSSUSFIT. We'll give you an amazing deal, and we are only going to take on a few people for this, so you'll be able to take part in our summer shred challenge, which is going to have thousands in prizes, an amazing community of people who are absolutely crushing it, and I really truly believe you don't want to miss out on this. So can't wait to hear from you. Message us on Instagram at ColossusFit, COLOSSUSFIT.
Our second question is from Dasha, and it's, I noticed you and Josh are around a lot of fit people. How do you find those people? And I love this question, and lately I've been sharing a quote with everyone that you can't become an eagle hanging around with turkeys. And it's funny too, because recently I was in a situation where a lot of sweets were being had, a lot more foods were being consumed, and you start to normalize. You're like, oh, this isn't too bad. I can do the same thing. It's just funny how subconsciously you'll mirror the people you're around, or you'll accept these things as fact. Just the same, there's another quote that I love. Denzel Washington says it, and that's, if you hang around the barbershop enough, you're probably going to get a haircut. And I thought that was another great quote too. So the people you're around, you can either come down to their level or you can evolve up to their level. If you consider that you were around like David Goggins, Jocko Willink, all these super intense military crazy people, you'd probably start to feel a little bit like, I should probably get outside and run, or I should go lift, or I don't want them to see me eating this, whatever it is, right? So it's kind of funny how it can go both ways. And it's not to say every one of your friends needs to be ultra fit and ultra perfect, but it is good analyzing like that you're around people that are doing better than you financially, that are doing better than you, or the same in your fitness and your health with your goal setting, because it's contagious, right? When you're around people that's all doom and gloom and the world's helpless, you'll often mirror those thoughts. Whereas when people inspire you to do more, it just makes you want to get up and get after it and really see change. So in that point, I think even myself and Kyle being fortunate where we are around a lot of really fit people. And in general, it's funny how I think when you really invest into something and you learn to love it, you naturally start to attract other people that have the same thoughts, because it almost makes you a little bit weirder. People will say like, hey, what do you mean you're not eating this extra round of dessert? You're like, I just don't feel like it. Like, I don't care to have it. Sometimes people will be so off put, like if you don't have cake or something like that. It's pretty funny. And it's at any spectrum, like doing the uncommon thing, even the thought of go the extra mile, it's never crowded. We left for our drive at 5 a.m. and then 4 a.m. the day before. And it's funny how the roads are dead. Like no one's there. I was thinking too, the day before we saw a lot of other snowbirds, if you will, leaving, but I saw none of them at that time, right? Because everyone's sleeping in. They're like, I ain't doing this. It was harder to drive. We're driving in the mountains of Virginia and you can't see as much. But it just really reminded me, like when you do these extra things, there's often less people doing them because they are hard. But at the same time, there's such a result from it, because later in the day, of course, there's like an hour delay. Like it's funny how things can get related to this. And in general, as you start to push yourself and you start doing harder things and you become a fit person, you're going to start to naturally attract them, like I said, because people will come up and say, like even myself at the gym, I saw a guy killing it, doing split squats with 135 pounds on his back with a barbell. I'm like, you're a freaking animal, man. That's impressive. He's like, no way. Thanks, bro. I see you. You're so strong. And now we talk to that guy. It's funny. I walked by him today. He's like, hey, man, how's your shoulder? And you start to begin these pleasantries with people. Even at the gym, it's funny. You'll like unlock different levels of friendship. It usually starts to have a conversation. You'll wave to them. Then you'll always wave to them from there forward. Then sometimes it can become like, hey, how are you doing? And then you get to know them. You spot each other and you can start to make friendships. And then you can evolve it even past that. Kyle does a really good job where he'll meet someone once or twice and he'll invite them out to something. And from there, it's amazing how someone can end up being your friend and being someone you see all the more often. And in general, if you want to make more friendships, more fit people, go first. Like say, hey, if you ever want to lift, I'd love to lift with you sometime. And you'd be amazed. People would be like, no way, I'd love that too. We come at the same time. Like I'm doing back tomorrow. And then before you know it, you have more of a fit friend. Obviously going to events, myself and Kyle really noticed like run clubs, you're going to meet a ton of people there. There's lifting clubs, going to the gym at certain times, playing other activities. Like if you start like bouldering at the gym, it's just amazing. Everyone talks to each other and becomes friends. So I find there isn't really like anything magical you need to do, but I just find really working on that skill of living that life, being that person, and then just having conversations with people is amazing. And the more you can just do that uncomfortable thing, and it never hurts. Even we made an amazing connection, which was absolutely great at the gym, because someone just said to us, hey, like, I noticed you doing this machine. Like, I want to learn how to do it. Is it good? And it was amazing the rapport we built from that. It was such a phenomenal connection that came out of it. So don't be scared to talk to people. People are super nice, and it's funny and amazing the connections we made in the gym because of it. But that's my whole spiel. And I know it wasn't a ton of tangible tips, but I'm curious what Kyle has.
Well, and it's amazing because like the main underlying thing here is just like getting yourself out there. Like you're not gonna, if sleeping in, like, maybe working out at home or like doing other things, like it's good that you're working out, but like that's not what's gonna get you there. It's like getting out into different spaces. I'm not saying to, go to the gym and talk for hours like some people do, but at the same time, like even, like what I'll do a lot of is just like try to, ask specific questions. Like we'll be at the gym and we'll, in Florida, and you're just talking to someone. You're like, hey, by the way, do you like beach volleyball? It's like, yeah, man, all the time. All right, cool. We're playing this Saturday. I'll see you there. Like a lot of it is connecting with them. Like obviously, like I said, try not to be talking for a million hours at the gym. So I have to remind some people of that because that's what they do. And we try to stay away from that. But it's like, hey, little quick things. Hey, let me get your Instagram. Like, that'd be awesome if you're, into yoga. Like, that'd be so cool. Like, you can just do that from getting yourself out there, from being an approachable person, which, we try to be. But I think the main thing here, and I can't believe I forget the quote, but it's just like what Josh was saying, like, in order to hang out with the people you want to hang out with, you have to become that person first. I can't remember the exact quote. It's going to kill me here, but it's like, if you want to be hanging out with consistent fit people, like, to start off by going to the gym, by doing all these things, like, you have to be able to be an attractive person for that other person to want to be like, hey, come join me for a workout, come, join me for this or whatever. And it's like, you can't be that person who's just like, I just say sleeping in as an example, but like eating horrible, sleeping in, like just skipping out on all this stuff. And you're trying to hang out with all these fit people. Like, you might be able to get away in there if you have something else to offer, like maybe some sort of other skill set, like that can happen. But at the same time, like, the fit people are going to be naturally attracted to those who they see at the gym every day, who you say what's up to, you're talking in the sauna, you see them on the same walk all the time. Like, you have to become that person first, or at least aim to be able to then, be attractive to the other fit people. And, that's something I'm always trying to, pay attention to as well. Right, is like, who am I going to invite out to this specific bike riding thing or this hike thing or whatever the case is, right? So yeah, I think that was a great takeaway from Josh as well. And that's something that, I don't really think about much because it's just like a lifestyle. That's another thing. It's just more like, I go to the gym, I go for my walks, we play some sports, we meet a lot of cool people, we connect with them. And I'm also not afraid to like say what's up. I think that's where some people struggle. And Josh's example of that person who came up to us was really cool because there's just so much mutual back and forth of like, oh, you do this and, we'll have you on the podcast and we'll go back and forth and that'll be super exciting. So you just like, you never know, just talking to one person, just asking a simple question, like it goes a long way because you never know who you can meet as well.
Yeah. So hopefully that was helpful. In general, I think everyone loves to be complimented. I know I'll always see women going up to each other and be like, I love your set or something. And then before you know it, the people look like best friends or like set of clothes. Or with guys, even it's like, bro, that's a good bench. Like I've met people from that. I'm like, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And then oftentimes too, it's amazing. Even our buddy was squatting beside someone, they were doing a similar weight, and he said he complimented him, and they ended up having a good little back and forth from it. And it's good too because it makes the gym comfortable, and especially with the compliments too, like you're kind of picking who you want to talk to. I know there's some people perhaps at the gym that are a lot to talk to, and I have a mixed feelings on like talking too much at the gym and meeting like-minded people who are crushing it, of course. But hopefully that's helpful. And I think even if you don't have these people in your life, you can create them. And I know that sounds silly, but going back, one of my friends, we all would lift. We were all athletic. We played hockey. We had like a group of us. We'd go to the gym every day after high school. And there was one individual in the gym who was really obese, or in my class. He's really, really overweight. My teacher's like, I bet you he'd beat you in an arm wrestle, Josh. I'm like, no, I doubt it. And then we arm wrestled. He beat me. And he's like a cool guy. I spoke to him a couple times. And I'm like, yo, you should come to the gym one time. And it's funny. He ended up being such a good buddy. He lost over 100 pounds. Shout out Sonny. So it's really amazing like how I invited him out. He's like, I'd love to, right? And like, he just didn't know. He didn't know about eating. He didn't know about working out. He sunk into it, and he's a freaking beast. Now he's crushing archery. Like, it's just so cool to see. But he ended up being a fit friend, someone who was well over 300 pounds, never in shape in his life, really out of shape. But it was so cool to see, right? Like, just because someone's not elite now doesn't mean they can't be. And even just encouraging them and just having different gym buddies. And fit is subjective, right? Like, I would argue the trajectory of someone who's 300 pounds that's losing weight every week, that's getting healthier, is more fit than someone who's like 120 pounds and lean, who's gaining 4 pounds a week and skipping the gym consistently. Like, that trajectory, right? The one person will bring you closer to where you want to be. And new people are so motivating. Anyone you bring to the gym who's actually hungry to go there with you, that's new and excited about it, like, you can just take some of that energy because it's all new to them, right? They're like, oh, this is so cool. This pump's crazy. I can't feel this in my leg. This exercise is cool. So it's really fun. And sometimes teaching is the best learning. When you help someone, you see things are doing wrong, you'll start to autocorrect from it too. So hopefully that was just an extra fun little thing. And it's been cool even over the years, like the people I brought into the gym or that have brought me into different things, and then just amazing what comes from that.
Yeah, and even just like joining some sort of group is huge. I know Josh was talking about the running group, as an example, because like just groups are amazing, whether it's like paid, whether it's free, like they are fantastic. There's so many of them out there. Joining a league, even for us, like our Facebook community is incredible. Like the other day, we just had someone say, hey, I'm from here, like anyone else local. And like, even with the summer shred challenge taking place, or about to take place, I was looking through our group, and it's just like such an amazing community of people sharing wins, recipes, supporting each other. So really finding that makes such a big difference. Of course, you're always welcome to message us summer challenge, and we'll take care of you and just have you and, accept you into our group like family. Like it really is an incredible thing that we've built up. And, Josh is great at finding those people and, bringing them up and showing them what's up. And even if you're like nervous, if you're scared, if you don't feel like you belong somewhere, like we're more than happy to accept you. And like that's our biggest thing, is to be able to help someone just feel understood, to help them feel like they can actually make change, like help them build up their habits. Like we do this as a lifestyle, like it's our living, it's our job, but we're able to help support you. And by you joining the Facebook group and having us work with you one-on-one could absolutely change your life. So yeah, we're excited to take on some of you awesome people.
Yeah, that's literally the best thing you can do too, because if you like listen to me and Kyle, imagine we're your coach. We're talking to you every day. You're talking to us about your programming. If we motivate you, imagine when we're actually communicating one-on-one, and then also having a whole community behind you of like-minded individuals, right? Like, so paying to get in those spaces is the best. And like finding events for it is always really, really good. And like I said, bring friends in is another great way. But last but not least, I always hear different things about how to improve hormone levels. Any tips or tricks?
Yeah, so this is a great question, and we get asked in so many different ways, shapes, and forms. Like the last few weeks, we've had different questions relating to gut health, hormones, metabolism, and then like losing fat without dieting. So all things where, and I've repeated myself like maybe a week ago, but it's just like they all go hand in hand. Like everything that you do day to day that we talk about is going to help with every single thing here. There's no magic pill. There's no magic formula. There's no magic diet. None of that stuff. It comes down to just having a healthy whole food diet where you're having a balance of foods. You're not eating the same stuff, but you're just like incorporating different micronutrients, different antioxidants, different protein options, like whatever the case is. So if I were to list out a bunch of things, like I said, a balanced nutrient-dense diet, managing stress, getting enough sleep, obviously as best as possible, depending on your kid's situation. If you have kids, obviously you can only do so much. Maintaining a healthy weight is super important. And then last but not least, limiting alcohol, fast food, and making sure that you're hydrating well. But even on top of that, like in order to just have proper hormone levels, metabolism, all that other stuff, like having a relatively decent body weight is going to make such a big difference, but making sure that you're on a good trajectory. So like if you're someone who's just like in a heavy dieting phase and you're always dieting, like it's going to mess up your metabolism. It's also going to not be helping your hormone levels, anything like that. If you're someone that's overweight and you're constantly eating too much, that's also not going to help at all. So it just comes down to living a healthy lifestyle. And if I were to just have each person in front of me and say, what does a healthy lifestyle look like? What would you call a healthy lifestyle? Most people would say, I go on consistent walks, I do some cardio, I do maybe a little bit of running here and there. I go to the gym a few times a week. I eat healthy foods. I'm hitting my protein intake. I'm not going out too much to eat, but maybe, the odd time here and there. Like, what a healthy lifestyle is. And that's all it comes down to. It's none of this extra nonsense, and it's just staying consistent, and you'll have healthy everything. Whenever you get blood work done, when you go to see your doctor, they're gonna be like, holy, what did you do? Like, that's what it comes down to, and that's my answer for this question.
Yeah, Kyle popped off and see massive change. If you want to see massive change in your life, you need to really get down to the psychology of what you do consciously or subconsciously. You need to take that first step forward. You're not going to go from eating absolute trash to eating really healthy overnight. You got to take steps day to day. You're not going to go from not working out to being a pro in the gym. So just take that next step and make sure you're pushing in the right direction. And as long as you're moving there, it's amazing to see how much comes out of it. And to the point of hormones, it's absolutely amazing to me. A lot of my online coaching clients, when they come in, after a few months, they'll be like, my doctor didn't even believe that it was the same blood work. Like, it's crazy seeing the changes in everything and seeing like their testosterone go up and seeing the change, well, for men at least, and seeing all these great changes, seeing them move away from potentially being pre-diabetic. Like, it's really inspiring, and actually living a healthy life, it's amazing. And people don't think of it this way, but there's a ton of health benefits. A lot of people just think visually and looking better and whatnot, but it's actually really quite inspirational when you see the blood work and you see the hormonal change that does come from eating healthier, sleeping sleeping more and lifting, and doing that obviously intelligently and making that part of your life. But really hope you enjoyed this episode. A lot of fun. Obviously, we had a lot of thoughts, a lot of different things going on. But if you enjoy tuning in with us, just remember every Monday and Thursday, we are here no matter what. If you want more amazing content from us, make sure to follow us on Instagram to keep up to date with everything we're doing. Our Instagram is @ColossusFit, ColossusFit. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.